In today's video, I'm going to show you how I altered this artwork in Canva to make a template for some oversized artwork on a t-shirt. So this is what my Canva screen looks like when I log in. Don't get too hung up if yours looks completely different. I think they have a few different versions. The paid version might look slightly different than the free version. I do have the paid version, and then I do think they just roll out different updates to different people at different times. So your screen might look very different, but you should be able, somewhere on your screen, sometimes your information is across the top. Mine is over here on the side, but you should be able to find a home button, your projects folders, some of the basic stuff. And the thing that we're going to start with today is just creating a new design. So again, I don't know exactly where this button will be on your screen, but for me, it's right here on the sidebar. So I'm just going to click on Create a Design. And because I'm going to be printing my design, I want it just to be on 8.5 by 11 size so I can easily print it. Now, there's a lot of options over here, and you'll see if you work with Canva, you already know there are tons and tons of templates. Some of them come with the free version, some of them are paid. But for our purposes, we just want to go to Custom Size. And I'm going to put in 8.5 by 11 inches because that's my paper size, and that's just the easiest thing for my brain to work with. I'm just going to hit Create New Design. So you can see it's given me a canvas that is 8.5 by 11. It's opened up a template window for me, and we're not going to be using any templates today, but if you wanted to use the templates, you would just click on them and it would put them onto your canvas, and you can edit them from there. So what I want to do is I want to upload some photos. Again, yours might be across the top, but you're just looking for the little cloud and the icon that says upload. And sometimes you won't see it because it's out of view. So if there's ever a slide bar, sometimes you can lose your functions because you are not in the right location on the slider. And I'm just going to tap on upload. And then these are some files that I already have uploaded, but if you want to upload a new file, you're just going to click the Upload Files button. And then you'll navigate to the file that you want to use. I'm going to upload a couple of files, and if you saw my last video, you know that I did some AI image generation in ChatGPT. So I used this picture of my dog. So I'm going to upload that. And then I'm also, just so you can see it for a reference, and then I'm also going to upload the file that was generated out of ChatGPT. So if you're interested in that video, I will link to it. You can get to that tutorial in the description box. So in order to upload this, I'm just going to click on it, hit open, and then it will put it into the Canva images. And to put them on my canvas, I'm just going to make sure that I have the page highlighted. You can see here, if you click outside of the canvas, it's not highlighted. If you click inside the canvas, you can see this purple border. So if I click on any image in my images folder, it will put it onto my canvas. And down here you can see where I can add another page. So I'm going to add a second page, and I'm going to add my image from ChatGPT. And this is the image that I'm going to be working with for the most part, because that's the image that I want to create for my t-shirt art. But I did want to show you just a couple of things on just this regular photo image. So I'm going to resize it, and to do that I'm just clicking on it, and you can see the little handles and the border around my photo. So I'm just going to grab one of the corners, and I can resize it to the size of my canvas, and I can even make it bigger than the canvas if I want to. So once you have your photo selected, you can see again here when I've clicked outside of the canvas, nothing is selected now. And if I click here again, you can see the handles. You'll also notice that I have a different menu bar that comes up when I click on the photo. And again, yours might be off to the side, but mine just hovers right above here. This is the little crown icon that I was talking about. So one of the things, if you're considering getting the paid version, I think it's about $15 a month right now. You can also pay annually, which is a little cheaper overall. But one of the things that really makes the paid version worth it for me is that it does have a background remover. So if I click on this, this is the little crown, so that'll show you things that are on the paid version. Not always, but if there is a crown, you'll know that it is part of the paid version and not the free version. But if I click on this, you can see how quickly and easily it removes the background. Now there's a little problem with the dog here because the chair was in front of her paw, so you're not getting her whole image there. But this is a pretty handy tool for a lot of different images. And the great thing about Canva is that you can always restore all of your changes, so you don't lose anything. You can always fix things if you do something you don't like. There's also a back arrow here if you just want to go back one step. If you didn't like the most recent thing you did, you can go back a few steps at a time. But what I wanted to show you is just some of the editing features if you're working with a regular photo. I believe in the free version you will have all of these editing options, so you can change the temperature, the tint, the brightness, contrast. You can have more saturation, more vibrance, and even how to sharpen up the texture a little bit. So you can definitely play around with those things, and you can either use the slide bar, or if you know exactly how much you want to change something, you can key in a number, either plus or minus, and adjust your functions that way. One thing I'm not 100% sure about is if in the free version you can do a background and a foreground, but one thing that I have found really handy is you can adjust the background and the foreground separately. So you can see here that the background's turned purple, so I can make it a lot brighter without changing the brightness of the foreground. Usually I do that the other way around, but a lot of times I like to sort of de-emphasize the background and emphasize the foreground, and you can do that by selecting them separately. So if you're done, you can just deselect. One other thing that I found that was definitely a fun thing to use, but it's also part of the paid version, is this new background generator. So my dog is sitting here on this chair that's very ripped up. I was kind of in the middle of fixing it when she jumped up there, but it certainly isn't a good background for her to be on. So if you click the background generator, you can type I'm just going to put her in a green grassy lawn. Just said green grassy lawn with a flower bed. It gives you a few different options, and it's kind of covering up her paw, which is nice. And so that's just another way that you can edit your photos, and it does a pretty good job. If you zoom in, down here there's a little slide bar that you can zoom in and out. So if you zoom in, you can see that it's not perfect, but she looks much better in the grass than on the chair. And it does a fairly, I would say, realistic job of editing the photo. There are some filters that you can play around with just to change the colors slightly. I don't use these a lot, but sometimes they're kind of fun to check into. So you can see there's just a ton of different filters that you can put on your photos. And I think you have access to the effects as well. I don't use these a lot, but you can play around with them. And you can sort of blur parts of the image. I've never played with these, so I don't really want to attempt to show them to you, but there's definitely plenty of options that you can play around with in the free version as well. But the main thing I wanted to show you today was how to make this art, oversized t-shirt art. So the first thing I want to do is just sort of fill my frame. So I'm going to drag my corner out just to resize it to the 8.5 by 11 size. And then I want to add a little wording down here on the bottom. Over here on the sidebar, and again yours might be at the top, you're going to see a little icon for text. And if you click on that, you can add text boxes to your art. And again, I'm going to go down to my little slide bar and zoom in a little bit so it's easier to see. This little X, sometimes it'll be in the art, sometimes it's below, but this is how you grab your whatever you're working on and you can move it that way. So I'm just sliding this down to the bottom here. And then I want to type if my dog was a superhero. So anytime you see the box around an item, that means that item is selected, and the menus that are showing up you can use for that item. So I want my wording to be in the center of my art here, so I'm going to go up and click on position, and then you'll see I can align it different ways. So I want to align it to the center. I'm just going to click on that button. And then I also want to change the font style. So I'm going to go up here, and right now it says it's Canva Sans. I'm going to click on that. And again, some of these fonts will be part of the paid version, but they will have a little, I think they have a little crown next to them. So I think all of these are available on the free version. I'm going to use this Playwright US Traditional. And you can see it changed my font down here. And then I want to change my font size to make it a little bit bigger. So I can hit my minus button here or the plus button, or I can just key in a number. And I want mine to be about 35. So I'm going to type in 35, and then you can see that it sort of filled in that space, but I need to move it up a little bit. So I can either select it and kind of nudge it up with my arrow keys, or I can move it manually with my mouse or keypad by grabbing that little X at the bottom. So I'm going to go back down here and zoom back out so I can see my whole image again. And I want to group my wording and my picture so that they will resize together. So I'm going to select the wording. I'm going to hit the Shift key and select my art as well. And then you'll notice that I have the option to group them. So I'm just going to click that group button. And then I'm going to click outside the canvas, and I'm going to go find my elements. Again, yours won't necessarily be in the same place, but you should be able to find them. And what the elements are is just different shapes and forms that you can click on to add to your design. And I just want to add a regular rectangle. So I'm going to click on this rectangle. If you don't see the rectangle, you can scroll across the top to get to more options. You can see there's all kinds of things, flowers, arrows, a lot of different things. I'm going to click on my square shape here. And you can see it just throws it into your open page, whatever page you're on. Now, because my page or canvas size is 8.5 by 11, I want to make this rectangle 1/4 of that. So I'm going to click on position because I've got my little rectangle selected. So it's going to give me the stats on that rectangle. And what I want to do is I want to make the width 4 1/4 because that's half of 8.5, and I want to make the height 5.5 because that's half of 11. And then I'm going to drag my rectangle up to the right-hand corner. And sometimes you will have a different little menu up here, but if you see this little plus sign, that means you can make a copy. And because I have my little orange rectangle highlighted right now, I'm going to make a copy of that. So I'm going to click the little plus key, and you can see I've got a second rectangle now, and I'm just going to drag that down to my bottom corner. And I want to change the color so I can see where my rectangles are. So if you look up here, this is the current color. I'm going to click on that, and I'm just going to choose a different color so that I can see my two different rectangles. So I'm going to select my rectangle again and make another copy. And this time I'm just going to drag it to the other corner. And then I want to select my art. You can see that that whole thing is selected, and it's also selecting the wording that I put down there because I already grouped those two things together. And then I'm going to hit my Shift key, and I'm going to select my my 3 colored rectangles as well. And then I'm going to group them. And now I want to zoom way out. And when I click on anywhere in the canvas now, I should be selecting everything on the canvas. And I want to take this bottom corner, I'm going to grab the bottom corner, and I'm going to drag my art until this first quadrant up here fills my canvas. So I'm just going to drag this corner down, and you can see that I've got almost, and I like to leave just a tiny little edge so that I know I'm not cutting anything off. So I've got a little bit of my orange rectangle down here and a little bit of my orange rectangle on the side as well. And what I want to do now is I want to go up here and click the share button. And I'm going to click the download. And then I don't want to save it as a PNG. I want to save it as a PDF for printing. So I'm going to click on that. And I don't want all 3 pages. I just want the current page, which is page 2. So I'm going to click current page. And then I'm going to click done and download. So if I go out of Canva and go into my downloaded files, I should see this PDF here. So I'm going to go back to my Canva, and I want to make sure I'm not resizing anything, but I'm going to just drag my image over until I have just my top right-hand orange rectangle in view. And I'm going to click on that. And up here again, where you see the color, I'm going to click on that. And you see it pulled up my color window over here. And I'm just going to use this little transparent icon so there's no color. And then I'm going to save this section as a PDF as well. So I'm going to go back to share, download, PDF print, select the pages, and I again only want my current page, and then I'll hit done and download. And I'll repeat that process until I have all 4 sections saved as a PDF. And then you can navigate to your downloaded folder and find your 4 PDF files and send them to your printer to print out. So here's my 4 sections once they're printed out, and you can see my printer is running out of ink, but I'm just using this as a template, so I'm not worried about the colors in the art right now. And so all I need to do is trim off my edges, and I'll piece these together to finish my template for the artwork. Thanks for watching today. Be sure to check for the extra resources in the description box. There's also a place to sign up to receive the Upcycled Design Lab newsletter. And if you haven't already, I'd love for you to click that subscribe button and join my YouTube community. And stay tuned for an upcoming video where we'll transfer the art onto a t-shirt.